All right, I think we're live, right? Live on Facebook and on YouTube right now. And are we live on Instagram?
Yes, we are.
All right, awesome. Happy Thursday, guys. What's the date today? The 5th?
The 4th.
The 4th, okay.
It's my mom's birthday today.
Oh, no way. Happy birthday, Jody. Your mom is she is a real treat. She is. I mean that affectionately,
Yes,
too.
she
She's a
is.
great lady. Great lady. Okay. All right, guys, we are live for a question and answer for probably the next 30 minutes or so. So if you do have a question, please make sure that you ask in real time for a chance for me to answer that question as best as I can. I know sometimes people come with questions that are just, oh man, the Mayo Clinic can't figure it out and they expect me to just, on the spot. So ask your health questions. I know it takes probably a couple minutes for people to be jumping on YouTube and also on Facebook. But we are broadcasting live to Instagram. Hi, Instagram. It's good to see you guys. Live question and answer. So if you got a question, just point to me to let me know that someone has asked a question. All right. All right.
Dr. Dean Peters says, Dr. Nathan, is Reebok paying you good money to wear their logo on your sexy chest?
Dean Peters, that name does ring a bell. Dean, you were friends with Dr. Dwyer, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, keep up the good work, brother. It's good to hear from you. No, I don't have a sponsorship with Reebok. Although I am sponsored by creatine. So. I'm just kidding.
He really meant it though.
You know what's so interesting, because this usually happens, once a week, where I'll say something that people disagree with, and rather than disagreeing with the argument, they want to attack you, or they want to attack my appearance or something like that.
Yeah, you have too big arms.
Yeah, someone accused me of having too big of arms. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been lifting weights since I was probably 14 years of age. And or they don't like my hair. I'm like, I'm 48, for crying out loud. Yeah. What do you expect? Like this. Yeah, but if you can't attack the argument, you know what you attack instead? The person. You attack the person. It already means that you have lost the argument. I just wish people were smarter than that. Yeah. So questions, guys, if you got any questions right now.
Someone says they don't have sound, but I don't know if that's on here.
It's probably on their end. You can check your phone. Yeah, we should have sound. That's on
He says you look great, bro.
All right. Yes. Okay, so coming up, I asked a lot of people about live topics that were coming up for next week. You know what the number one thing that people were asking about? The most common thing that people ask about?
What's that?
Is bone health.
Bone health.
Okay, so I think I will be talking about bone health on Monday, specifically osteoporosis. And here's what's interesting is there's a lot of people who ask about bone health. You tell them what to do, then they don't do it. You know what you call those people?
Assholes. We say that a lot.
The people who ask questions with no intention. Because a lot of times I'm like, I'm going to answer that question, but are you ready for the answer? Because they're just trying to ask a question to justify something that they're already doing. And if you say don't do that, they disagree, then they're just not going to do it. They just want me to tickle their ears and tell them, I'll keep doing what you're doing, even though it's not working. So, yeah. You know what some of the most important factors are when it comes to bone health, specifically with women. Everybody thinks it's about calcium. I would say that one of the most important things is actually stomach acid. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? Well, because you need adequate stomach acid in order to absorb calcium. That's why Tums comes with calcium.
Yeah.
So as stomach acid is a big issue. A lot of people are pretty inadequate with stomach acid. And a lot of that has to do with their stress levels and things like that. So we got a question from Instagram.
Katz Dolly asks, do you have a suggestion for a venous hum on the right side of the head?
I have a venous hum on the right side of the head.
Mm-hmm. Venous hum.
Yeah, no clue. So, yeah. So now this is now we're getting into the ER. if someone does have an issue,
benign normal caused by vibration of blood flow in the jugular veins.
yeah, with it, with everything, one of the things is, it all comes down to stressors, chemical, mental, physical, chemical, mental, physical. Um, but when people are asking me that specific questions, I've never seen them, never have know nothing about their life. It's a very, very tough question to ask. Although you want to make sure that there is good venous health, good and veins are made up by soft tissue. Probably one of the best things to support, and this is going to be more towards varicose veins or things like that, is gotu kola. That can be something that's very good for good venous health and things like that. But I don't know their history. I don't know their background. I didn't know nothing about them, so it's a really tough question to answer. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
If I can't answer it, then I'm not going to.
Yeah. Can you share about the moment you realized you wanted to shift more into functional medicine route from the previous path?
Well, the only thing that I would disagree with you, it's not functional medicine, because honestly, I think functional medicine sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. And if a functional medicine doctor is asking me that, sorry, but not sorry. And the reason why is because people ask me all the time, they'll say, well, why or how did you get into the wellness way? And wellness way is by no means functional medicine at all. But when they say, how did you get into it, to doing what you are doing? You know what my answer is? I had to. I had to. And the reason why is my beautiful wife got very sick. Here we are thinking that we're doing everything perfectly, and whatnot. And this was probably, gosh, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. She got to the point she could hardly get out of bed. And I didn't know what to do. So I had to do the hardest thing a man ever has to do. And what do you think that is?
Ask for help.
Ask for help. I asked for help. You know who I asked? Dr. Patrick Flynn. And he pointed me in the right direction. He said, you know what's going to happen? Your wife's going to get better. And you're going to become a wellness way doctor. And I said, well, what makes you so sure that I am? He said, I know you. And I know you would be able to practice any other way. So did my wife get better?
Yes.
Yes. In fact, she got so much better that she got very fertile, which is why we have a 2.5-year-old running around the house right now.
What a beautiful boy.
He is a beautiful boy. We look at each other and we're like, are we really doing this again? Yep. Yeah, we are. I wouldn't change it for the world. So he is our wellness way baby, literally is our wellness way baby. And very, very fortunate. And I'm very, very happy that God crossed my paths with Dr. Patrick Flynn. Because I look at that, I wouldn't have a little boy, Elias. We wouldn't have him now. And my wife still probably would stay. She would be sick or heavily medicated.
Yeah.
So that's so when people say, how did you get into it? I'm like, well, I didn't really have a choice. I had to, in order to help the most important person in my life, my wife.
Yeah.
And the good thing is I did. But man, when I tested her for the first time, I was almost ashamed at what was going on, not at her, but at myself for not leading her in a better direction. My wife was severely anemic. She had 3 autoimmune conditions going on, all simultaneously at the same time. She had Hashimoto's, and her antibody levels were at about 5,000. Do you know I made her hyperthyroid in about 2 weeks? Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
And it wasn't because, but the thing is we started changing some things so quickly that she became very sensitive to a lot of the medications that she was taking, and boom, threw her into hyperthyroidism. And she still blames me for that, kind of jokingly, but literally within like a month, she had to like massively lower down her thyroid medication.
Yeah.
So, when you look at that, I was kind of mad at the medical system for not investigating more, digging a little bit deeper, because here I had to. If you're like, oh, you're just a chiropractor, I'm like, look at my wife and look at my family. So the proof right there is in the pudding. It's in the pudding. Yeah. So you look at my family, we are the weird family on the block. You have 4 kids. Do they take any meds? Do they have any asthma? Do they have any allergies? No, I have no chronic health conditions whatsoever. And the reason why is because I've raised them from a lot different perspective than what a lot of people have are typically raising their kids. That's why we're the weird family on the block. But I'm like, I'll take weird and healthy over normal and sick any day. Okay. So, yep. Another question from Instagram.
It's not a question, but she says that I don't have a question, but I just want to say that I had adrenal fatigue and I fixed it by watching Morning Sunrise and practicing darkness at night. Thanks to Dr. Jack Cruz. I don't know if you know who that is.
I have no idea. Nope.
Any recommendations on waking up at 2, 3 a.m. with heart palpitations or panicking?
Is this the same person?
Different person.
Different person. Okay. So
since it wasn't a question, I just moved on.
Remember that question because I want to kind of address people who say they have adrenal fatigue and things like that. So
we can talk about that.
I know that doctors, the fire department, also known as medical doctors, they poo-poo any idea that we talk about, when you talk about adrenal fatigue or intestinal hyperpermeability or what you would call leaky gut. They just poo-poo it because it's not part of their training. However, I think the whole idea of adrenal fatigue really does get thrown around quite a bit when it truly is not. That's not the thing that's happening. And I'll give you a perfect example. Have you ever felt tired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had the flu?
Yes.
When you had the flu, how'd you feel?
Like crap.
Did you feel tired?
Yes.
Did your joints hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. You're handling an infection. Your body is getting very inflamed.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, when people start talking about adrenal fatigue or anything like that, just think of it like this: does the pancreas become fatigued? Yes, it can. Which is why it would be a kind of a type of diabetes that a lot of people don't talk about. But the pancreas can really kick things out for a very, very long time before it does in fact start to become very fatigued. And it's the same thing. Everybody thinks their adrenals are fatiguing, but I would say probably the thing is that you're so doggone inflamed that they're down regulating. So you're getting a response of cortisol getting turned into cortisone, and you're getting an increased conversion to try to help with inflammation more than anything else. And then as a result, you don't have much get up and go. But there's another thing in order to help. A lot of other things in order to help with the adrenal glands, your circadian rhythm, or how you are releasing cortisol throughout the day. I would probably say the best thing that you can do in order to help reestablish your circadian rhythm is just go to bed on time. Too many people stay up too late and they wake up too late too, or they stay up too late and they have to wake up early and they're just not getting enough sleep. Dr. Patrick did a wonderful live video on last Saturday on a different perspective. You go watch it at thewellnessway.com. I talked about why women need more sleep than men. And it had to do with building up reserves within your adrenal glands. And this is why a woman needs healthier adrenal glands than men, only because, especially after menopause, you're getting a lot more hormone contribution that a woman in menopause is going to need coming from the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands do make hormones. They do release, DHEA, testosterone. They do release cortisol. They do, manufacture certain estrogens as well. So the adrenal glands do in fact make hormones, which is why if you're not getting enough sleep, you're over exercising, yes, you can do some things that can deplete the adrenal glands, but the thing is that if you do the right things, you can get them to recover. Okay. And what probably the number one thing that people complain about when they come into the office, what's their number one complaint? You know what it is? Fatigue. Yep. It is fatigue. And they think it's their hormones. They think it's their thyroid. They think it's all of this. And I always tell them, I was like, those are all secondary to the inflammatory triggers. Because if you got the flu, you wouldn't, be in bed and you'd be like, I think I have adrenal fatigue. No, you're extremely inflamed and the body is responding accordingly. If you had a really bad case of the flu, first I'd be like, why did you let your immune system tank like that? But the other thing too is I would say if you went in and measured all your hormones, it wouldn't look right, because hormones are messengers and they're responders to basically kind of a person's health status as well. So then everyone's like, hormones. It's like, no, it's like hormones recover when the insult is taken care of. So that's why, lifestyle is going to be so important. That's why lifestyle is going to be so important. It's not an herb. It's not, oh, you just, hey, take some ashwagandha. Your life's going to be, all your problems are going to go away. I actually don't want that to happen. You know why? Because it makes you a lazy supplement taker. Yeah. I want you to take full responsibility for your life, for your lifestyle, and for your health. And that's why people are going to be like, he's kind of an a-hole. And I'm like, that's why I don't have a lot of compassion for people who ask for my help, they mess up, and they get sick again, and then they want me to bail them out again. So
you're kind, you're not nice.
I'm kind, but I'm not nice. You know what the difference is between the two? Kind says, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. But if you're messing up, I'm going to tell you. All right. Nice people, which no one cares about nice people because people just walk all over them. Nice people always will lie to your face. Am I pretty? Nice person would be like, of course. Kind person would say, no, you should work on your looks a little bit and have a little bit more self-respect. That's why I hate the whole body positivity movement, because that's just saying, oh, that's fine. That's people trying to be nice. When if you were kind, you should say, pick up a freaking dumbbell, pick up a barbell, get on the Echo bike and start working hard and quit eating so much ice cream at night, and then just demanding that people just accept them for who they are. I'm just like, jeez. All right, what's that question?
The other one was, any recommendations on waking up 2, 3 a.m. with heart palpitations or panicking?
There's probably if it's 2 or 3 a.m. Usually at that time, I would say, and the only way to know is to get some testing. But if you don't have great blood sugar control, one of the things that can happen around that time is your blood sugars get very, very low. If your blood sugars get very, very low, remember, this is why when people are like, oh, I got to eat or I'm going to die. No, you're not. You have an inborn mechanism that makes sure that doesn't happen. So you may have been, and I would prefer that people are by 2, 3 in the morning, they're a good 8 to 9 hours of not eating at that point. But one of the things that can happen is if you have poor blood sugar control, blood sugars go down, and then the adrenal glands say, hey, you know what? Let's start to mobilize sugar. So you'll have what's known as a cortisol awakening response. So the adrenal glands start pumping out cortisol. And if you start pumping out cortisol, guess what happens? You wake up. And then you wake up and you can feel stressed, or you can feel your heart doing this. It may feel like panic if your cortisol levels are through the roof. That's really trying to push the mobilization of sugars at that point. And that's why when people are waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, and they're like, man, I wake up and it's like, I don't need to go back to sleep. And it's like, yeah, because your cortisol levels are through the roof. But then over time, one of the things that they do, and they kind of learn this innately, they're like, you know what, if I have a bunch of carbs, I'll fall right back asleep again. And so then they'll, go down and make a Dagwood sandwich, like the sandwich is big, have a bunch of carbs, and then it puts them back to sleep. And then boop, 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 alarm clock goes off at, 6 o'clock in the morning. The cortisol levels haven't gone back up to have another cortisol awakening response when they should be waking up. And then they just feel, 19 alarms they need in order to just wake themselves up. So this is why sleep hygiene, sleep health is so important, because you should wake up on your own without needing an alarm clock. Now, I set my alarm clock in the morning. We know it's interesting. I always wake up before it. So, and it's like clockwork. 30 minutes prior to my alarm going off, I'm always waking up on my own. But that has to do with me going to bed on time, me going to bed early enough, and then not needing to, try to sleep until 9, 10 o'clock. I cannot do it. However, I am, most of the time, I'm asleep at 10 o'clock at night, and I wake up on my own at 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock, I'm up. And that's because I'm having an appropriate cortisol awakening response, which is your get up and go hormone. That's what actually makes you get up and go. If you're chronically low cortisol for whatever reason, there can be a lot of different reasons why. This is why you're just like, oh, I can't get going. Like, what's the problem? This will also include your workouts too. So your workouts too, you should you should have, and this will happen when you go into fight or flight, which you do need to be when you're working out. If you're in rest and digest during the workout, you'll be like this. You need to put yourself into fight or flight, and that's not necessarily bad, that's happening. But what becomes bad is when you are always in that state, always in that state. Yep. Yeah. But I would say really pay attention to your blood sugars, or, have better blood sugar control. Go to bed. I would be going to bed earlier, and this is why I say women should be going to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, no later than that, and they need 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Men can get away with 7, or so. But I'm a pretty solid 8 hours every single night. But you need, it's not like you do it for 2 days and all of a sudden everything's reversed. I mean, you need to be doing this for weeks upon weeks in order to get your body to be able to recover. So that's one of the biggest problems with recovery is people think recovery, is like a 1 month thing. Like in 1 month, all my problems should go away. That would be no different than you going in, getting a hip replacement, coming out of the surgery and being like, why am I not better?
Yeah.
You have a 3-month recovery. In order for that, you get your ACL reconstructed. They say you'll be back in 6 months, but it'll take you a year to recover. I had my whole ankle reconstructed. And they said, you can start playing at 3 months, but it won't feel normal for about a year. And how long did it take before it felt pretty normal? About a year. So if you look at healing and repair, it does in fact take about a year for things to be able to heal over, repair, start to remodel and things like that. But people have such a poor understanding. They think, oh, I take this herb. Oh, everything's better. Everything has healed. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And in fact, the people who get the best clinical results are the ones who do what? Are patient and they work hard. Yep. Patient. My wife did not get better overnight. She did not. You know how long it took her to really be able to recover? It took a good year for her to recover. But the thing is I just didn't give up. Yeah. That's my secret sauce. When people say, what's your secret sauce? I'm like, I don't give up. Yeah. I don't give up. You can call it stupidity or whatever. You can call it whatever you want, but I do not give up. I never, ever give up. Never, ever do I ever give up. So, and in fact, that can be a problem too, because sometimes I don't give up on people I should give up on. All right. So sometimes, with people, I have to throw up my hands and I'm like, can't polish a turd. Not that people are turds, because I know that there's a Karen out there that's going to get really upset at that. But I'm saying is you can't make something bad. Sometimes you can't make it any better on your own.
That person has to want it too.
Yeah. You have to want it. It has to be literally your most dominating thought. Yeah. And that's why, I learned that owning CrossFit gyms, because boy, I tell you what, it was a good idea to do CrossFit until, they just, saw the next bright, shiny object or saw something, the hidden secret with this workout. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, the secret is that there are no secrets.
Consistency.
It's just consistency. Well, that doesn't seem inspiring. And I'm like, yeah, most of health success is not inspiring at all. When you look at me, you're like, well, you have a really boring life. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Because I realize that nothing changes by me doing something for 2 weeks. And then, oh my gosh, I haven't lost 50 pounds. What's my problem? Oh boy. It comes down to maturity too. So yeah, everybody has, but if you want to become a very mature person, get under a barbell, tell them to do Fran, and then we'll see. That will mature you up very quickly. Okay. This goes along the lines of, like stress. Is everybody just thinks all stress is bad, and stress isn't necessarily bad. You do need some level of stress in your life, because if your whole life was devoid of stress, what you would be? If you were a guy, you'd be the 30-year-old man living in your mom's basement without any kind of stress. Okay. I remember I had a patient who came in and had a son who was 30 years of age living in her basement. And I was like, I wonder, what does this dynamic look like? And you know what the dynamic looked like? Mom telling the son how wonderful he was and giving him everything that he wanted. And here you ended up having a son, who grew up just being kind of a lazy, self-entitled a-hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to grab the mom and be like, kick this kid out of the house, tell him to put up his big boy pants, tell him to stop wearing diapers and put on some underwear and start, getting him potty trained. She wouldn't want to do it. You know why? Because she wanted her son to be her friend. And that's the worst thing in the world. This is why, when people have, they'll come in and they might have some kind of, yeast overgrowth, or they got some kind of bacterial infection within the gastrointestinal system, or they got a parasite or something like that. And they think, I need to do a parasite cleanse, or I need to do this. And I'm like, I want you to think of it this way. Think of, the overgrowth of bacteria. Think of it as your 28-year-old son who still lives at home. Okay. Now, he would think you were really mean if you said, son, get out of the house and start making a life for yourself. But instead, what I want you to do, and this is kind of true with, certain bacteria and things like that, I want you to create an environment that makes the bacteria very uncomfortable to be able to survive. So if you had a son that wouldn't move out of the house, you know what I would make him do, rather than be the mean person? Say, son, you're paying rent.
Yeah.
Son, you're doing your own laundry. Son, you're paying for your food. Son, you can do anything that you want to do, but now you're going to pay for it. And pretty soon he's going to say, hey, you know what? I can do this on my own. Yeah. I'm going to move out. I'm going to get my own place here and whatnot. And then you're like, thank you. You just have to create an environment and give them some stress in order to help them be able to grow. That's why stress isn't necessarily bad. You do need some stress, because a life without stress is a life devoid of any growth. Yep. So you do need some kind of stress. You need stress on your muscles. You need stress on your bones. You need stress. You need workout stress, but you don't need so much stress that it's causing your body to deteriorate. And that can happen too. I see that happen with a lot of things, especially when it comes to having a chronic mental stress response too. Yeah. Okay. That can be absolutely huge. Did we have another question? I was waiting.
Not yet.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So Facebook and YouTube, if you got any questions, I don't think I turn comments on. So I think sometimes people might be like trying to ask a question and I don't see it until I go back and check it on the phone. So yeah. All right. So we will be talking about, I think, about bone health on Monday. Yep. Okay. And it's not a secret, but this is okay. So this is a medicine rant, healthcare rant. All right.
Let's hear it.
Well, I would say this, because medicine is the fire department. Okay. Medicine is the fire department, but medicine is not healthcare. Healthcare is taking care of your health. And the thing is that I'll give you a per example. I had a woman, couldn't hardly get out of bed, and was having terrible heart palpitations, like this, terrible, no energy, no fatigue. And then her doctors diagnosed her with Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism. So they put her on a medication or try to put out the fire in order to lower down her thyroid output, and then put her on beta blockers because her blood pressure was elevated. So then I looked at the testing, and I look at her testing, and this woman is about as severely anemic as I've pretty much ever seen. I mean, terribly anemic. And I said, I want you to think about something. So with anemia, you can't transport oxygen through your blood. So you need oxygen to get transported via the blood to deliver to your tissues. So let's say you can't transport oxygen, so you're always running oxygen deficient. What do you think your heart has to do to make up for it? You need to pump faster, pump harder. Okay. And then on top of that, if you can't deliver oxygen to your brain, how are you going to feel? Tired, fatigued. So it wasn't the only problem that she had going on, because her vitamin D levels were at like 8. Jeez. So she had a lot of other things that are going on, but I said, if you want to feel better, you should actually get your iron levels up. I said, what did the doctor tell you to do? Say, to take an iron supplement. And I'm like, did it make you constipated? Yep. And I said, well, probably taking an immune glandular would probably be way less easier on your body. But here's the thing. It can take a long time in order to get iron levels up in people. And I said, what I want you to do is I want you to just ask your doctor if they can give you a bag of iron, and you just put the iron in intravenously, and that will raise your levels up a little bit quicker. Probably get you feeling a little bit better too. So, but the thing is, you look at it, they just threw all kinds of medications at her without any intention or any kind of idea that this is going to be resolved so that we can help you, get off it. So, I mean, she had mold, she had gastrointestinal parasites, which may have been because she's on immunosuppressants, and mold, low vitamin D, severely anemic. But the biggest thing is this had been going. This had, even though she had just started getting the symptoms 3-4 months ago, in reality, this has really been going on for probably many, many years. And so you're not sick when you feel bad. You are sick well before that. And you'll see the changes in physiology before you'll ever feel it. So, and that's why we decide to go to the doctor when we feel bad. But in reality, you should be getting tested when you think that you're well, so that you can find, or you can start correcting things before they turn into some kind of fire.
Yeah.
All right. So from YouTube, we got a question from Dennis. Thank you for following, Dennis. Do you recommend taking the same supplements every day, or should they be rotated? All right. All right. That is a good question. Thank you for the question, Dennis. All right. Number one of the things that I would ask is why are you taking the supplements, and are you deciding that you're going to be on them, or is there an actual physiological need? Okay. So here's the thing. We do call them supplements, but in reality, they're not really supplements. In fact, what they are is they're herbs. And then they're also basically just foods in high amounts. I'll give you a perfect example: liver glandular. It's like people call it a supplement, but I'm like, no, it's actually, a grass-fed dried liver, that's ground up into powder and encapsulated. So it really, really is a food. So, the biggest thing with supplements is, I would say, can you take them every day, or should they be rotated? This is largely based on testing, because when I start with somebody, I don't, are they on the same supplements for a year?
No.
Never. And in fact, it will look different pretty much every single time I see them. It will start to be different. There are certain things in which, if you're doing the right things with your lifestyle, there really isn't any need for something like specifically like Albizia, for example. So Albizia, or chamomile, or something like that, there really shouldn't be a huge need to be on herbs. But really what they do is they're just designed to be stopgaps until you really correct this with your lifestyle. There are some people who just refuse to change their lifestyle. Yeah, so they need to be on supplements. I can't force people to get 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day. If they don't, I'm like, here's some potassium. Yeah. I can't get them to go out into the sun. And if they decide not to, guess what they're taking? Vitamin D. Yep. I can't get people to to eat, 7 to 8 ounces of liver, because they hate liver, as do I. So I'm like, okay, great. Take a liver glandular, only because liver is high in selenium. It's high in zinc. It's high in CoQ10. It's high in vitamin A. It's high in B vitamins. It's literally nature's multivitamin. But the whole idea is, should you rotate them, like to give your body a break or something like that? I don't necessarily subscribe to that. And I know that some people are like, you should rotate, and give your body a break. I'm like, from what? Like, it doesn't need nutrients? Yeah. It's not like, your exercise where you decide to,
leg day.
Yeah, where you're deciding to say, I'm going to take, a month off from working out, let myself recover. And in fact, in 15 years, the longest break I ever had was for 1 month. Yeah. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to come back and I'm just going to be just a puddle of mush. And I actually came back stronger and came back feeling way better.
You did that for Matt too.
Yeah. And you know what? That's not something that you should do every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've been resting myself for 17 years. Yeah, it's working out. No, you shouldn't do that either. But it is okay that occasionally you are taking a month off. Um, Although, now it's like, I think that, sometimes workouts should be rotated. I don't think that you should be doing the same workouts, uh, every 3 days you're doing the same workout, or, oh, I just do these 4 workouts. I'm like, no, you should be rotating. That's why variety is actually one of the best things you can do in regards to your fitness. So many times a workout that I will do will not look anything like something that I did a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But I will repeat some workouts, but usually I won't repeat them for like a whole entire year. Right. So, but as far as like supplements, the first thing I would want to say is, hey, do you need them? And then number 2, if you do need them, then they shouldn't have to be rotated, but it's all going to be dependent on what supplements you're taking. I know a lot of people ask about like herbs. It's like, one of the things I want to do is just to make sure if you don't need it, I don't want you taking it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have benefit from doing it. But there are just certain things that you shouldn't need to take forever. When people say, when should I get off of it? And I'm like, 2 things. When you don't need it based off of testing and your lifestyle there to support it, you shouldn't necessarily need it. Okay. Question.
Which liver is better?
Which liver? Are they talking about animal source, or are they talking about brand name? Because I would say bovine liver, always going to be the best. And then I would say the Well and Sway brand. Yeah. I'm always going to say that we have the best. That's why I had someone reach out to me and they're like, where they could have easily come to me.
Animal source.
Yeah. Animal source, I'd say beef. Where somebody easily could have come to me and then they texted me saying, what do you think of this chiropractor? Just like, what? Oh, let me go research and give you that answer. Get over yourself. You know what I'm always going to say? I'm the best. Yeah. And that's not a statement of like ego. No one works harder. No one works harder than I do to learn, to grow, and become better every single day. Nobody does. I guarantee you. All right. And if you don't believe me, I run into a lot of chiropractors who've been in practice who absolutely, I'm not even going to say it. So, yep.
What about glutathione supplements?
No, not really. I'm not a huge fan of those, only because, glutathione is a very, very large molecule. So if you take it orally, it's really getting broken down in the body. I want your body to be able to produce its own glutathione. Doesn't mean that I think if you're going to do glutathione, it should be done intravenously, because it's a very large molecule. And, this is why, people are like, well, why can't like diabetics, why can't they just take an insulin drug? Have you ever wondered that? Well, the reason why is because you put it in the body and the insulin, the hormone would get broken down by the stomach. This is why they have to, inject it straight into the body. So the body doesn't inactivate it through stomach acid and things like that. And so glutathione is the same. But one of the things you really should do is you should feed the body the nutrients in order for it to be able to make glutathione on its own. However, there are certain people who become pretty depleted in glutathione. And so we may give them, like a glutathione spray, like an oral spray. And I don't think it's the best thing to do, but it's at least something, especially if they have high levels of mold or mold mycotoxicity. And then we just order it from Results RNA. And they have glutathione spray. They also have zeolites, things like that. And we don't use it too often, but occasionally people will need to be on those things. But if you really want better glutathione production, I think a lot of it is nutritionally related, and it has a lot to do with having good liver health too. So, yep, glutathione is the body's natural antioxidants. So help with glutathione production. If you have a good lifestyle, with all the different things that we talk about with lifestyle, then your body's glutathione production should be pretty on par with where it needs to be. Yep. Yes. All right. Any other questions?
I don't have any right now.
Dennis, thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much for the question. I know Dennis always watches on YouTube, and so I always appreciate him watching.
I recognized it.
Yep, I've seen him quite a bit. So thank you very much for watching. And I'm trying to think here. Dennis is not from the United States. Are you from New Zealand? He might be gone, but I thought maybe might be from New Zealand. I think he's from a different country. So, but we have people who watch from all over the place. Yep. And yeah, I mean, like Korea and New Zealand, and people watching live on New Zealand. I'm like, it's 7 a.m. where you're watching right now. Holy cow, that's pretty awesome. I like that. Yeah, I like that. So, yeah. So next Monday's live topic is going to be on bone health, osteoporosis, and I'll talk to you about how important stomach acid is. I will talk about stressing the bones, and another thing too that a lot of people don't realize can help with bone density and things like that is Viplate. So vibration therapy, Viplate can also help, but you need to stress the bones. And here's the thing: walking is really not enough. If you look at the amount of fractures that take place in the United States due to osteoporosis, it's more than the incidence of heart attacks and strokes and things like that. It's just an ungodly amount of fractures that take place. And where you're going to have a fracture is in your hip, in the upper part of your arm due to a fallen outstretched arm, or it's going to be in your spine. That's going to be a compression fracture. But take care of your bones. And one of the things that have great bone health is to stress the bones. They're always remodeling. And so it's not necessarily to build up more bones, which is what they do with the medications. Like, we'll put you on Fosamax or something like that. And then they go in and do a DEXA scan. Like, see, you got more bone density. I'm like, you have more bone formation, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's stronger. Okay. I mean, you could have a house and you're like, this house is not structurally sound. Let's just go ahead and add some wood, nilly-willy, all over the place. Then you look at it, you're like, yeah, there's more wood. I'm like, yeah, but it's not any stronger. Mm-hmm. So you want bone that is strong and always under constant remodeling. And the only way to do that is to put some stress on it in the right way. This is why heavy weightlifting is going to be so important. You should be heavy weightlifting all the way until the time that you die. So unless you decide I'm giving up, that's when you should be going quietly in the night. But I tell you, if you decide to do that, don't complain about it, when you see the abnormal results. So, yep.
We've got someone on from Spain.
Awesome. From Spain?
Yeah.
España. See, I know Spanish. España is Spain. I think that's really awesome. So, yeah, let us know too in the comments where you're from. I always like to see where people are from too. I know that we have a lot of longtime lurkers and never responders. So yeah, it's always interesting to see people just, hey, have some courage and just say hello, or just, some people, they don't want to say anything.
We don't bite.
We don't bite. Hopefully I answer nice
Morocco.
enough. From France,
Morocco.
And from Morocco. Wow. That is really awesome. I would like to go to Morocco. That's right kind of next to Spain. That's still considered Europe, or is that considered Africa? I know it's like really close to the Mediterranean. Now you're getting my geography skills out. Yeah. I know all the 50 states. I can point them out. You know that a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Oh man. So just goes to show you, like, education, this is why I hate education. I don't hate, I love learning, but I hate education. By Africa. Yeah. And so I think it's on the Mediterranean. So Mediterranean Sea is like right next to it. So I have a patient work with remotely from Morocco. Originally he's from Morocco. And so it's really cool to learn about other people and kind of see where they're from and kind of see their history. Mm-hmm. And their kind of life story is also, it's also really good. I'm so interested in hearing about people's story, like where they grew up, where they're from, what shaped them. Yeah. I really like, that's why, like, what the website that I visit the most on? Wikipedia. Yeah. Because I'll see somebody, I'm like, I want to know their story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing if I'm driving along, going through a like a little town, and I'm like, I want to know this town's story, and then you just see how, this town almost took off because the railroads came through, and then the railroads left, and then it became, what's the city from Cars? Oh, what's the city from Cars? We'll give away liver if you can answer that question. The city from in Cars. It was just
I've only seen
kind
it
of a
once.
kind of it became a ghost town because the highway came through and so nobody stopped. I had on the tip of my tongue and then
I don't remember.
yeah, maybe I should ask Elias
He
since
would
he
know.
watches
Yeah,
that.
he would
Yeah,
know.
he watches that almost
My
every
kids
single
never
day.
really got into Cars.
We'll sit him down and
They
show
might
him
like-
that.
they might
Yeah,
like it now.
he sees Mac. He's like Mac, and Lightning McQueen loves all of that. So yes, and so I don't even know where I went with this, but it was yeah, just learning
people's
about
history.
people's
Yeah.
history and
Mhm.
things like that. Susan is from the UP of Michigan. All right, that's really awesome.
I love the UP. It's beautiful.
I've never been to the UP.
I've been several
never
times.
been there, but I hear that it's oh, Nancy Thompson. Okay, yep. So I've never been there, but I heard it's absolutely beautiful. So I have been to kind of northern
They
Michigan.
probably have a lot of snow right now.
Probably I've been to northern Michigan, like Traverse City. That's a beautiful, beautiful city. Radiator City. All right. So thanks, Mom. I'll stop by and get you some liver. All right. All right. So yeah, Radiator City.
That's
so
it.
yep.
All right.
All right. Cool. All right. Any other questions that you have?
Not now.
All right. So it's a joy to spend some time with you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Hope you have a great weekend. And next Monday, make sure that you join our live broadcast and we'll be talking about bone health, osteoporosis. But just remember this is if you want help with it, the only thing that I ask you to do is please do it. Okay. Don't be an asshole. Don't say, I want to know what you would do. And they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Is there some kind of supplement I can take instead? Don't be a lazy supplement taker. Okay. Don't be a lazy supplement taker. All right. Yeah. Pro tip, don't be a lazy supplement taker. Thank you, Leanne. I appreciate that. All right, guys. We're going to take off so we can go home. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, great rest of your evening. And just remember, if you're going back answering questions, I probably won't answer it. This was your time right now. So apologize in advance, but I can't keep track of the 19 platforms that we're on right now. So, yep. All right, guys. Be well, be blessed. Remember who you are. Appreciate all of you. Join me next Monday for our live broadcast. All right. Be well.